Roll Tide, folks. We're back again. It's time for Elephant in the Room. Jay Coker and Mick Gillispie, brought to you by MyBookie.ag. We got a really great deal going right now with MyBookie. We'll talk about that coming up, but appreciate all of you guys for being here. Ryan Grubb made his media debut since we talked last. Alabama, 3 practices in. We got some of the young guys, Latsier Brooks making some plays behind the scenes. The first week he won. We're going to talk about all that right here on the show. So like, subscribe, thumbs up, and let's play Coker's Open. Another episode of Elephant in the Room. There he is, the national championship winning quarterback from 2015 and the mayor of Mobile, Alabama, or should be, ladies and gentlemen, Jake Coker.
I like how you say Coker's Open, like you don't want to be associated with that intro.
Yeah. I host a lot of these shows. So. Oh, look at you. You're tearing up the studio. Can you fix that?
Hey, who put this thing together?
You did. When Shank was here, you pulled it off of there. Can you fix that? I don't even know if we should just stop or we just keep going.
Just keep it going.
Keep going. Look at
keep
you.
Keep this shit show on the rails.
The thing about it was you used to have a stick mic. Well, like I guess it is a stick mic, but you didn't have the arm, and you didn't have one of these electro voice. These microphones here, they make you sound very ballsy. And so, you give these to real broadcasters, and we did about 100 shows and you earned it, and now look at you pulling things off the table. And man, what is going on here?
This may not,
do you need some help?
Happen again.
Do you need some help there? It's just basically, it kind of screws into the bottom of the table. What a great show. Hey, guys, thanks for being here. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. If you like watching Coker put together his robot arm over there. Did you get it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, look at it.
You must have DIY'd this.
Yeah,
it's got Gillispie written all over
it. Don't try to deflect on me, man. Coming in here, all I do is just make sure you drink cold beer and anything you need, and you just tear the place up. First show, you broke a brand new chair.
Did I? Yeah. Was that homemade as well?
It was from Wayfair. Might as well be homemade in China. All right, let's get the show started. And for all of you that have stuck through the show, thank you. Thank you for being here with us.
Thanks for all the survivors.
Yeah, man. Can you believe this? Is this show 135?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I'm just saying, does that sound right?
Yeah, I guess that's about right. That's 60 weeks, isn't it?
Well, look, man. I can't believe
65, whatever.
Yeah, it's like, but this was, we didn't do a show this week. This is this is show 137.
Didn't do a show this week
until now. Well, I had a funeral, man. My buddy Ryan Griffin, the late great marketing guy from Pearl River Resort, man. Great guy. 47 years old. That seems too young to me.
Yeah, that's way too young. Beautiful
funeral too. I'm sure some of you guys know him. He was a really good friend too. You know how it is, man. You get to working with people, and then friendship and business kind of mold, they kind of mesh. There's just people you like.
Well, people you do business with for a while.
Yeah.
Mainly because you're friends.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Or you work hard for them too.
Yeah. There's a respect there. I mean,
yep.
I just got to know him over the last year.
Yeah. You liked him too.
Close enough to be on a group text.
Yeah. I mean, we were. God, I can't believe it, man. Laurel, Mississippi. You ever been there before?
I've seen the shows. My wife's on
that TV show. His brother got a house on there.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The snow episode.
And Ryan was a big fan of what's his name? Billy Corgan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude, you gave Coker. I know you guys are going, where's the football? I don't know when it's coming, but it's coming.
It's Friday. We'll see.
Coker told Ryan about this podcast, and it was Howie Mandel. Do you remember doing this?
Oh yeah.
He basically told Ryan the last time we saw him.
I sent him down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well, I think it was the last time we saw him in person.
It was a couple weeks ago.
You said, "Hey, man, you've got to watch this." And it was Howie Mandel, the actor, comedian, whatever else he's on. America's Got Talent or something. It was
Billy Corgan and Bill Burr.
Yeah. And they think like Bill Burr and Billy Corgan may be brothers. Because like the one guy's, their dad was like a traveling sales guy and one of those old school sales guys.
He's in a band. Yeah.
Oh, no, he's in a band. I'm sorry. He's in a band. And he used to get after it pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
And
so, Billy Corgan's stepmom said that Bill Burr may be your brother. Billy Corgan goes to his dad and asks, and he's like, I'm not going to tell you, but I'll leave a note when I die, and I'll put the names on there. And then he passed away and never left that note, so he doesn't know if him and Bill Burr are brothers or not.
Surprise! But you told Ryan about that.
Oh yeah,
and then he like messaged me.
Oh yeah,
and called me like over and over again, like. Dude, like you blew his mind or something.
Oh, yeah. I had a missed call from Ryan. He's like, call me back. I got Bill Burr questions.
man, it's honestly, it's unbelievable. We're all going to end up there.
And then he didn't believe you when you said Sean Payton and Kenny Chesney.
No.
Favorite public figures.
No. Come on, man. No, man. No, I didn't say anything. Oh my God. What are you doing? Nobody's even like, they're like, what's going on? We tuned in for Alabama football and
let's get into it. Man, I'm liking Ryan Grubb already.
Are you?
I am.
He's the guy that I feel like DeBoer needs, that guy that's got a little bit of an edge to him.
I think he's got an edge, but I also think he's a relationship builder with the players. Well, from what it sounds like. Sounds like he's putting a big emphasis on that.
Right.
Sounds like I always think the OC and the quarterback, if they've got a great relationship, it makes that player so much better.
Does it?
And he sounds like he mentioned it in some of those interviews that it's kind of his responsibility to have a great relationship with quarterbacks so that they're on the same page on the field and off the field.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows the quarterback to just be more transparent in what he's seeing, what he's thinking. That added comfort level just it allows you to learn so much better when you just go hang out with your coach and talk to him.
Right.
About schemes and coverages and how to attack certain things. And at the same time, just have a good time and bullshit, while you're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, tell you what, man, I get that. So how tough was it when Lane Kiffin was your coach? Because I see him, and I know he's an offensive genius, but it's like he throws the quarterbacks under the bus every once in a while in those interviews. Do you ever notice that?
Yeah, it was. I don't know, man. It was. That was a different scenario. I think, I'm pulling for Lane. I think he's really got it together. I know there's a lot going on around that time, and I could have done a lot better job as well. I think we could have had a much better, a closer relationship. But we weren't close enough to the. Again, I've talked about Randy Sanders.
Right, lots of times.
I've never been closer with a coach than I was Randy Sanders.
Yeah.
Loved him to death, and that's when I felt like I was most comfortable playing football, when I had somebody like that you can talk to and have as a mentor. Just run through the playbook, run through whatever coverage you're seeing in the practice field. You come over there, talk to him, and it's again talking to a mentor. But when you transfer in, you're there 2 years, and you hadn't really. I mean, during that recruiting process, I talked to him like twice. I mean, I was going to Alabama, so it's not like we developed a big time relationship when I was a recruit. But again, we weren't like really close. So
right. Do you think if you would have pulled an all nighter with him at Innisfree, you might be able to? Like, that would have kind of like bonded everybody. He doesn't drink anymore now, so tell you what, man, that dude had a reputation though, and look, now he's like a guy that kind of admits that he kind of got after it a little bit, and he seems like he's a lot more focused right now.
I think he's put it together. He's always been a great coach.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's an offensive genius, man. No doubt.
He's always been a great coach, and I think he's, like I said, it's never like, I mean, I should have done a better job at the same time. It's not like sitting here saying it's not like we didn't have the closest relationship because he was this or that. No, I mean, I wasn't the best either. That's for sure. So, I mean, I don't know. You sometimes you just gel really well with a coach, and sometimes you don't. It's not like we, didn't like each other. We just, it's not like we weren't hanging out outside of the facility or calling or texting a lot outside of, being around the practice field.
Yeah.
So, we did have some funny there. I mean, we did a little bit, and there is some funny commentary. He is funny, but it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Guys, we're brought to you by mybookie.ag. Current sign-up bonus is 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip when using the promo code Crimson. That's our code, Crimson. So take advantage of it, and we appreciate it. Crimson is your code, mybookie.ag. 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000, man. So that means you put in 1,000 and you get 2, right? Or is it 500 and get you 1,000?
Repeat that one more time.
Here, let me read it again. This is like the language that we used to have to do when I was going to take the LSAT. MyBookie.ag current sign-up bonus is 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip when using the code Crimson.
So you put up 1,000 and they give you an extra 500 on that?
I would think. No, I was thinking that. Is that what it would be? 50% deposit bonus? So you'd put 500 and you get 1,000.
I would think if you put 500, you get 250 on top of that.
That's 50% deposit bonus.
Yeah.
Well, 50% of 500 be another 500.
50% of 500 is 250.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. So you'd have to do 750 to get 1,000.
Yeah.
I think. Let's try it.
Yeah. If you go to casino, go with me, so at least you can keep track of how much money you lose.
Unless you're with Wes. Our friend Wes. You should have seen Wes in action at Pearl River.
Yeah. Conversations that can't be repeated.
Yeah. Some of the stuff that happens, like,
he is funny though.
Yeah. He's just like I don't know. You just run into people in this business,
Yeah.
And he's a character, man. Like some of these guys are characters.
You will be entertained.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I'm hearing that Latsier Brooks he's a freshman wide receiver out of New Jersey.
I've heard a lot of good things about him too.
Yeah. And what I think, like, if I'm him or any of these guys, the fact that Ryan Williams got on the field last year and made a contribution makes me feel a lot more comfortable about just anything, right?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain degree. I know we talked about the receiver room coming into this year being pretty. I mean, it was pretty decimated, right? I mean, you got
6 guys transferred out.
Yeah, and so
1 guy transferred in.
Jeremy Bernard was one that I was really, really happy about because I knew he was going to give us somebody that you could trust that he was going to be in the right spot, having been in their offense for a few years at Washington. Knew you'd have a guy that was going to be reliable out there. We had a few guys come back, but I mean, and really 2 years ago, Isaiah Bond, man, who was our go-to guy 2 years ago? Was it Isaiah Bond? Was that?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, he was supposed to be. I mean, he caught the grave digger.
Yeah.
And then he cashed in on it and transferred to Texas. Just from NIL status, I mean, he could have wrote his ticket in Alabama.
Yeah.
I don't know what they offer.
Well, was he from Houston?
I don't know.
I think he was from Texas and he wanted to get back. I mean, because I remember in the combine, he mentioned something. He said he was going to Texas. I mean, that was his plan. He was going to Texas no matter what. They made it easy. There was nowhere else but Texas.
Oh, you mean if he transferred?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think he just wanted to go back to Texas, be home.
Give it a try.
With Coach Saban leaving, he wanted to be closer to home, I believe. But I know at the combine he mentioned just wanting to be in Texas, and there was no other option outside of Texas or Alabama.
Yeah. So for you, I mean, like you get that. I think we all understand that. But it would have been nice to have him on the team. But yeah, I mean, like this year, Kendrick Law and Kobe Prentice were supposed to be good. They didn't do anything. Yeah. Emmanuel Henderson didn't. It was like.
Well, we didn't have
Caleb Odom.
We didn't have the stable of receivers that we usually have 2 years ago. And then you had Isaiah Bond leave and some other guys leave. And at that point, you knew it was going to be pretty light.
Right.
And Ryan Williams, I mean, basically him and Jeremy Bernard, I thought there were some other guys in there that would be, I don't know, I hate to use the word possession receivers, but guys that may not be as explosive, probably get involved in RPOs, but not that Calvin Ridley or that Amari Cooper. I mean, I didn't feel like we had that guy. And even last year, Ryan Williams, when he came in, I thought it's going to take some time for him to grow and develop and learn how to run routes and get open initially, which he made some plays early on. There's no doubt about it, but you could definitely see that there was definitely a learning curve there. But I mean, again, the 17-year-old coming in, and I think All-American, is that right? I mean, he maxed out his potential. I feel like as a freshman, did a great job. But this year, man, I think you're putting him right there in that category of the Calvin Ridleys and the Amari Coopers.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when they were really, really performing, Calvin, Coop, I mean, not only were they just explosive athletes, but they were precise route runners.
Right.
And they knew how to get open.
Well, if you're a quarterback, what does that mean to be a precise route runner? Like, how could these guys help Ty Simpson or Austin Mack by running precise routes? Well, and what's the difference when they don't?
It just gives you confidence in getting the ball out early. Honestly. I mean, and when they stick their foot in the ground, they're getting separation. So, it's
because a lot of it's timing. I mean, you just know where they're supposed to be.
Oh, yeah. And where they stick their routes or where they pivot. I mean, okay, boom, he's sticking his foot in the ground, and I know which angle he's coming out on, and I can just go ahead and get the ball out. Arkansas game. We played Arkansas. We had a long touchdown pass. Calvin was running pretty much. I mean, he basically ran a deep nod. He was faking the seam route, stuck his foot in the ground and got vertical and went past the safety. But I mean, you drop back and you see him make his cuts or stick his foot in the ground. You can just go ahead and throw the ball up. You know where he's going to be.
Right.
And DBs, I mean, they lock in on the pivot points of receivers, and you just feel like, I mean, it slows them down basically and allows for these receivers to get separation. So you just know when they're sticking their foot in the ground, the DB can't recover. It's basically physically impossible.
Right. So the timing is knowing where that whoever it is gonna like just hit that point and then make their cut, and then throwing the ball where they're going to be by the time it gets out of your hand.
And then understanding that he's got enough experience where when he does make that cut or get vertical, he's strong enough and he understands. I mean, you've been doing it long enough where you see that DB, you know where he is. Is he going to get a clean cut out of there? Is he going to maneuver his way? Is he strong enough to do that? Whereas sometimes I felt like Ryan kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit last year in some of those one-on-one matchups.
Right.
DB may push him around a little bit or slow him down, right out of his release. It just didn't feel like it was clean. But, you go back and you watch Calvin or Amari or Coop. I mean, everything was clean. He dominated the route. I mean, he didn't let DBs affect his route running ability, and he just got to his spots, and he was very intentional with his body language, and it just made it very easy to, I don't say very easy, but a lot easier to anticipate where he was going to be.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I'm just curious. I mean, you got Ty Simpson
and Jimbo used to lose his mind, and it was nice having Jimbo in practice behind you because sometimes in some scenarios if the offensive coordinator is not as vocal, sometimes the receiver quarterback communication, you kind of push it to the next play and you watch it in film, and it's not really learned right there on the spot. One of the biggest things was those smash routes for that inside that corner. A lot of times guys they'd stick their foot in the ground and they'd turn around and look for the ball instead of sticking their foot in the ground and exploding out of that step. I mean, instead of just getting out of there and creating separation and then looking for the ball, they'd stick their foot in the ground and look back. And then at that point, you've thrown the ball, expecting them to be hauling ass out of there. But no, they slow down to turn and look, and then the ball flies over their head. What they should be doing is sticking their foot in the ground, accelerating out of there, and then looking for the ball. And at that point, I mean, you may be on the ground by the time that he catches it. I mean, you
no clue where it's at.
Yeah, there's guys in your face. It needs to be as consistent as possible every time.
Right.
And with consistency, you can throw the ball earlier.
Tell me about, you don't have to say who it is if they're at Alabama. If they're at Florida State, throw it out there. Who's the worst? Like, who are you like? Was there a player on your team where you're like, motherfucker? You're trying to throw the ball and they just they can't get it right. But you probably looking at him going, man, I bet you this guy, if he just would do this. Anybody like that? I guess not at that level.
We used to have some young guys that would come in and it take a little while to grasp everything. We had one guy, and I'm not gonna mention his name, but he was a great guy, and his nickname was Can't Get Right. I mean, it's just like every single rep, you're like, oh no, no. But no, I mean, eventually everybody got. I felt like, you were on the same page. The problem in college that took so long was getting the sights right. All the receivers and the quarterbacks getting on the same page in terms of pressures and knowing when they're hot. This guy's coming, you need to run a slant, or at Florida State, hawk, which is a route concept. And there sometimes will be confusion there, but the physical side, I mean, if you're recruiting guys physically, they should be able to do what they're supposed to do. And sure, there are some route runners that are better than others, but for the most part, everybody, after being there a year or two, pretty much had the route running aspect figured out.
Yeah, that's good. Just curious. as someone that hasn't run routes in college or thrown passes to anybody.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little defense, but
well, there's some, I mean, there's just a lot of instances where there's some balls that look bad, and you're like, what in the world is that? And then, you watch it again and you realize the angle's wrong on a route, or somebody hooked it up when they shouldn't have, and or a signal got signaled in wrong, or Jimbo losing his mind. We were playing Clemson at Clemson my third year at Florida State. We beat the hell out of them, but play got signaled in that, let's see, it got mixed up between Jameis and I think it was Kenny Shaw, but I think Jameis thought he was running a corner route, and he ran a corner post. Jameis threw the corner, and obviously Kenny's running a post, and that safety just ran right underneath it, intercepted it. Just a lot of moving parts.
Right. You when you were at Florida State, that was back when Florida State used to beat Clemson every year.
Yeah,
had a pretty good run, right?
You say that. We lost to them my true freshman year at Clemson.
So it was when it was even then. Florida State had a pretty good run.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty even.
Yeah. Bama plays Florida State to start the season, right? And it's going to be a tough game, man. I mean, because Florida State, they're probably stacking up in the transfer portal. They'll be healthy, they'll be ready to go. And it's a big game. And they had such a crappy season,
Yeah. They'll be amped up no matter what.
I want to go to that one. We should do the tailgate show.
Going.
We should do the tailgate show there.
I think I'm going. Got to,
right? Before we talk defense, how was Mardi Gras for you? I went to the KOR ball.
How was that?
It was great.
You still struggling?
No, I mean, I did okay. It's a daytime ball. So they do their run through. And then we went it was at the Mobile Civic Center. It was huge in there. Normally it's
Civic Center
because the building collapsed that they used to have it
down. Yeah,
the roof fell in with the blizzard. But I think they were tearing it down anyway.
They were. Yeah. Where was it? Where was it?
The Mobile
Civic Center.
Yeah, right across. We're like right across the river.
Right across.
I mean the bay, whatever that thing is, Civic Center.
That thing's flattened now.
No, not that little thing. Right there. I forget what it's called. You know what I'm talking about. It's where they had the Senior Bowl stuff.
The Battle House.
No, where the train tracks are.
Man, you had a hell of a time, didn't you?
It's right by the train tracks in the bay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
Oh man,
it was great. Shout out to Scooty for the invite.
Here you go.
Her husband.
I got
Jason.
some buddies in the KOR.
I might join one of those, man. You want to do one?
I hadn't. I mean,
you're at that age now?
I got friend. My little brother-in-law's in one.
Which one's he in?
WM.
Okay, I'm a free agent right now.
That
They're trying to get me to do the Fairhope one, but I'm like, man, I don't know. Mobile seems like it's the parades there seem longer.
Well, yeah, man. Mobile's where Mardi Gras started.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Of course I know that. Dude. Come on. I almost bought a shirt that had Fred Sanford's face on it. It was talking about the first Mardi Gras. You remember Fred?
Well, no. You
don't know Fred.
You tell me.
I'm not
going to make a comment.
I'm having a big one.
Sanford and Son, right? Yeah.
Fred, yeah.
Those shows back then were a little different.
He's one of the funniest dudes ever, man. I'll tell you, we watched that at my house as a kid. My dad and my grandfather loved Sanford Son. Great show. Yeah, they're still funny now.
TV Land used to be on all the time.
You watch them now, you're like, oh my God, did he just say that?
Yeah. That Bonanza.
No, yeah, Bonanza.
Oh man,
Bonanza was my dad's favorite show.
yeah,
Favorite show.
Bonanza,
Gunsmoke.
Andy Griffin,
Andy Griffith. Yeah.
yeah, Gunsmoke, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Wide Earp? No, what's the Tombstone?
Yeah. That was a movie.
No, I know that, but
That was a long time after that. Unless there was maybe another Tombstone. I don't know. But
no, there was a Wide Earp with Kevin Costner. But
was there?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I thought Tombstone was like
Tombstone's got Kurt Russell in it.
Oh, it does. It's way back then, huh?
Kurt Russell in his prime. You had what's his name? Guy from Top Gun lost his voice.
Tom Cruise?
No. Who's lost his voice? He was Iceman and
oh yeah. Well, if that's the case, then I mean,
you've never seen that movie?
Yeah, but that's not that old. It's not old like Bonanza.
No, but it's probably 30 years old.
Don't do that in here. Don't do that in here, buddy. You're going from it. It was black and white.
30 years ago, it was just a walk in the park for you, buddy.
I knew where I was like, is this guy serious for a second?
What's your favorite football movie?
Football movie, man. Let's see. Probably The Longest Yard.
Really?
Yeah, I like that.
That strikes. Yeah, I can see that.
I like I just that. You know, the inch speech is one of the great speeches of all time. If you're an inch too early, if you're an inch too late. Isn't that life, though?
Yeah, that's right.
What's the best speech Saban ever gave? Do you remember any of them? I mean, was there one that just stuck out? Because I see the one where it's before they beat Georgia in 2018. And he's in the locker room. And I don't know if it's before the game or at halftime, but he's just like kind of like getting into it. I mean, like have you seen that one? It's amazing. Like,
I think so.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
like everybody in there's like, let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah, saying something about it like being disrespectful because they're trying to take what's ours or something like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I've said no, that wasn't I was gone at that point. So we didn't play Georgia.
I know, but I'm saying when you were there.
I'm not saying we played them. We didn't play them at home. We played because they were in red jerseys. I think in that we play. Yeah.
Derrick Henry's Daniel Moore print is him jumping over that dude in that game in the rain, which I want to get. You know,
running through a guy.
I don't have it in here, but I should get that one.
I think it's on that picture, isn't it?
It's like a yeah. That's what he's doing. He's running over guys. Yeah, I might get the big one of that if they still have it.
Yeah,
I love those. Well, I mean, look, I got a whole wall of them right here.
Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah, might as well. So, but what's the best Saban speech you ever got? I mean, was there ever one, or for you, were you just so like focused on what you had to do, you didn't really need him to give you a rah-rah speech to get ready?
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, I don't know, man. When you're playing quarterback here, I mean, the goal's not to go out there and just murder people. You know, I mean, you got to slow down and think. So, I don't know. I felt like I was always in my own little world for the most part. I mean, you know, when he was before games, he was always calm, and then halftime, it all depended on how he played in the first half. And I mean, if you played like garbage in the first half, you knew it was coming. So it's kind of like, got it. All right, let's go. You know, only time the speech that I remember, I mean, when we played Florida in the SEC championship, I remember the defensive line getting up, and I mean, you know, they had a pretty impassioned speech, to say the least. It was a good speech. Don't get me wrong. Jay Reed and Ashawn and Jonathan Allen. I remember them saying something because we were playing. I mean, it was just like we were asleep out there. Weren't playing as well as we should have. Turned the ball over a couple times in the first half, and ended up pulling away from them. But that was one of the main halftimes I remember, just because players got up and started really talking.
Like they did you guys ever have one of those like those closed door locker room things, or like
Yeah, I think you always have one after a loss during the regular season.
yeah, like a players only.
Yeah.
It's been long enough now. What happened?
I mean,
It's you can talk about it. And that's been all these years. Unless did they beat somebody up? No.
Man,
Well, then what'd they say?
No, I mean, wasn't much special about it. It's basically the same stuff the coaches say for the most part, but everybody
Who said it?
I mean, again, at the end of the day,
Did you get up and say anything?
No. Here's at the end of the day,
hey, y'all. Can I get your attention real quick?
God,
I'm just kidding.
That's your impersonation. I need to quit. I need to quit this. Get the mic out of my face.
You don't sound like you sound like Elvis. It'd be like if Elvis did. Hey y'all. Hey y'all. Can I get thank you very much. Can I get your attention real quick? Hey, big fella over there. I don't see you doing that though.
No, the only time I'm ever going to say anything is when shit has gone really, really south.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
because they know
it's got to be a really, really bad deal.
If you say something, you're like
because I'd have to be so mad. I'd have to be so mad that I just don't give a damn about anything anymore.
Right. You're like I said, you're like when you see the movie Titanic. Like the band keeps playing, but the Titanic's sleeping. it's the boat's sinking and the band's still playing. Somebody's like, hey man, like you might want to pack up that drum set. Hi guys, I think great job back here. I think man, I just haven't seen you in a while. It's been a rough week, man. I look forward to this. Now, who were the guys on that 2015 team that were like I mean, I'm sure I've never heard Jonathan Allen speak. I told you he's one of my favorite players of all time. He was a badass. I'm sure if he said something, like you probably want to pay attention.
Well, I mean, I just don't.
Derrick Henry. I mean,
speeches to me don't really land unless it's really, really, truly needed. And it comes from somebody who doesn't say a bunch all the time.
Right.
And again, that Florida halftime, I think we were up 7-2, and it was just we were up 9-7 or something like that because we got a safety.
Was that in the SEC championship game?
Yeah,
I was there.
Yeah, it was just it's kind of one of those weird vibe games.
Yeah.
And then we ended up finding our way in the second half.
Yeah, killed them.
But, I mean, after a loss, you have the players only meeting. I get it, and it's probably necessary. But at the same time, you're Alabama and you lose a game, you're in oh shit territory.
Yeah.
And so everybody locks in. I think everybody already knew we had to lock in from that point on.
Well, this team didn't lock in. And that's the problem. Is if they would have locked, they had so many chances last year to lock in.
Yeah.
And I don't know, as much as I loved Milroe, the way that his season ended to me was just really disappointing because, we believed in him, man, and we still do. I mean, we really believed in him as a leader, as a player. And but
you also got to realize how much of a different scenario that is. Like, there's no excuse for it. Don't get me wrong.
Coaching and all that stuff.
But for the coaches who have been there for less than a year to sit there and talk about a standard and this is what you should be doing. I mean,
right.
You haven't even been there long enough to set a standard.
Yeah.
It's kind of just a different. Again, we talked about the being late stuff and the just the standards of Coach Saban in comparison to kind of what you hear through the grapevine this year. But I think they're setting the tone now.
Yeah.
I think last year they're just trying to, and Shank came in here. We talked about 9 games and Shank said less than that.
He said 8 last year. Yeah. And he was on it, man.
Yeah, but I mean, again, when you're sitting there and I mean, the only reason I thought 9 was possible is because we had a decent amount of talent.
Right.
And you got a coach who is a very good coach schematically.
Yeah.
But, chemistry and discipline, that makes a good core football team. And you can have all the talent you want. If you don't have those two things, then 10 games is hard to get to.
Yeah. Well, that's anything, man. I mean, I had a conversation with my son today about just going to school and doing schoolwork and everything that you need to do. I don't even know if he listened, but I was like, hey, it takes discipline,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Man, you don't show up and do what you need to do every day, you're going to be in a world of hurt.
Yeah.
And the whole, best thing about being on a team is a good team with a lot of good guys is that everybody holds each other accountable.
Yep.
And basically, this past year, I mean, I don't care who you bring in. Coach Saban may be the only one who could walk into a facility and command that facility. But you got to remember, his first year, we went 7-6. I mean, it just takes a little time. Now, he didn't have the same program when he came in that he left Alabama with.
Yeah. Yep. And college football's changed, man. I mean, it's just changed. The players run things now with the transfer portal and NIL.
Yeah. I mean, you're not ruling with an iron fist anymore.
No. And a lot of these guys, they need that. I mean, I think all of us as youngsters, I mean, not all of us are Tim Tebow.
Hell, I needed
what
it.
I mean? Yeah, I would have needed it too. Like,
yeah.
I'm amazed.
We all needed it.
Hey, look, I'm amazed when
you need that. Here's the problem is when you're that age and you come in and you play college football at an Alabama or anywhere really, I don't care who you are. Tim Tebow may be the only person, on a public stage that I think may have been able to conquer that. But when you come in as a regular college kid playing football and people know who you are just because you can throw a football or tackle really well. I mean, You're huge. I mean, it definitely affects you a little bit, and it's a weird introduction,
Yeah.
And you're already out of your mind because you're 18, and then that whole scenario changes things as well. You make mistakes and don't get me wrong, you're blessed to be in that position, but it's definitely a lot of responsibility for somebody who's a total dumbass. I mean, in complete transparency. So, I mean, to me, if I was sending my son off to play college football, I'd want Coach Saban to be the head coach and rule with an iron fist. I'd like for my son to be able to make money and not ever be able to touch it until he's done with football or college, and just have somebody guide him through that whole process.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, lawfully that's probably not going to happen or not going to work out. But if I had a son that was going through it, that's how I'd like it. I want to send him off to a coach I trust that's gonna handle everything and tell him what to do, and I can sleep at night knowing he's taken care of.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, at the end of his career, he's got some money, to do whatever he needs to do after college or after football. I mean, that's the ideal scenario. But if I had a son who just went to college and, was treated like a professional that could make his own decisions, spend his money the way he wants to, I'd be like, we're going to pull the reins back here a little bit.
Yeah. I'll tell you what my nightmare is. I talked to Lance Cormier yesterday, one of Alabama's all-time great pitchers and pitched in the big leagues. I used to work with him at SEC Network. And his son didn't get recruited by Alabama, but got recruited and going to Auburn. I said, man, you going to wear that stuff? So you going to wear that stuff? He said he did on signing day. I was like, no, come on, man. Now I get it though. Like,
Oh,
hey,
you
look,
got to.
you got to,
You
man.
got to. The fun part is going to be when his son's done and they're watching games together.
Oh man, I know. But there's always a
talking
transfer
trash
portal.
back and forth.
Yeah, maybe he goes to Auburn for you. I don't know. I don't know. Like I just, dude, I don't know what kind of money it would take me to. You know what I mean? Like I don't know that I could do it. You'd have to pay the shit out of me.
Hey man,
Could you do it? You could.
If
You've always told me you have a price.
I mean,
he's never told me that.
I mean, if Alabama's not offering me a scholarship and Auburn does, I mean, what choice do you have?
Yeah, but right now, though, I mean, what if they were like, "Hey, we want you to do the Tiger in the Room podcast"? You'd leave us for the Tiger in the Room podcast?
If they pay me $1 million to do it. I can't promise I'm going to be endorsing Auburn, but
oh my God. You know what? This is a good time for me to talk about mybookie.ag's current sign-up bonus.
50%. Take a break. We're gonna revisit this though when I get back.
Let me just get you off the screen. There you go. Let me put me on the screen. Hey guys, thank you for hanging out with us again. Where was I when our friend Jay Coker admitted that for the right price he would do Tiger in the Room? MyBookie.ag's current sign-up bonus is 50%. It's a 50% bonus up to $1,000 plus $10 casino chip when using our promo code Crimson. Crimson is our promo code, man. Take advantage of this, guys. We really appreciate you for being a part of what we're doing. And, look, it's March Madness time. And I'm trying to keep the show away from basketball because this guy's eyes start to sparkle when we talk basketball. He loves it. So, and I know when I start talking basketball, you guys are like, some of you guys love it, some of you guys don't. But anyway, there it is. 50% bonus up to $1,000 plus $10 in casino chip when using that promo code Crimson. And that's because of Jules Monnier, the all-time great basketball player from down here in the coast, LA, an LA legend. And you love hoops. We'll talk a little hoops now. Bama basketball, I don't think they're bad, but they're just not doing enough to win. They're not playing good enough defense, and they it's like the ball. I had a guy tell me one time, it looks like they're rebounding with boxing gloves on. It's like they can't rebound. And that's what Nate ought to do. Make them practice with boxing gloves on. You're trying to
I feel like what I felt last year though. Now just feel like we're not the best in the SEC. We're middle of the road, and last year we made it to the Final Four. I mean, if we get hot,
what are the chances of that? Like, what are the chances? Like, we got to get in the right bracket too, man.
I mean, you just never know.
How about Florida? Florida, like they beat Auburn down there, and they made all those shots. They really did beat them.
That's a dangerous team.
Then they came and they beat us. Like they out rebounded us. They just and
they got some athletic bigs.
Yeah, they're good, man. And then Tennessee, we gave that one away. We're better than Tennessee, but Florida, I'm going, man, these guys, they're like a dark horse. They're one of those teams that I think they could lose like in the first or second round, or they could win it all.
Well, I feel like that about everybody. I mean, in basketball now, there's so many kids out there that are so good. And if you get hot in a game and hit a bunch of threes,
right?
You always got a chance. Well, that's like us. We average shooting 30% from three in the tournament. We're in pretty good shape.
Right. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
But the problem is it's just so frustrating watching us because it just
because we're better than we're playing.
Yeah, it's just like, man, there's so many mistakes here and there. You want us to put it together so bad.
Can we though? That's the question. Can we? Because, dude, this is it, man. This is Mark Sears is my number one all-time Bama college player. got us to the Final Four. He's been the leader. You know, they're moving him to the 2 just so that they can get him more shots. But now all of a sudden everybody's turning the ball over.
Yeah.
Although not as many turnovers as you think, but just big opportunities. You know, just the rebounding's got to get better. But and then Grant Nelson, you know, like these are 2 like legend for Bama basketball, man. Like, and this is it. Like they lose in the NCAA tournament.
Grant's got to get more aggressive like he was last year towards the end of the year. I mean, I'm never gonna. I don't know if I'd say Grant Nelson took games over, but he just last year he seemed to take command in certain times of the game when nothing else was working, and he was kind of the catalyst behind winning big games. North Carolina stands out the most to me. And he played with some emotion, got the team going, and just made physical plays. Defended their big so well,
Right.
And now we got 3 guys down there that, I mean, Mo, he plays hard. Sometimes you wonder the free throws. That is, I mean, the free throws are atrocious.
Got to.
Unbelievable what we do from the free throw line right now. I think at one point we were in the second half. I think we were 4 of 9 at one point. And then Cliff's the only one making free throws, our worst free throw shooter. I mean, it's just hard to watch sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's fun because we're in the tournament.
Hopefully we're hitting a lull and we're on the climb here.
Yeah. Look, this last game doesn't matter. The SEC these guys have said they want to win the national championship. They didn't say they wanted to win the SEC. They didn't say they wanted to win the SEC tournament. They said they wanted to win the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
And that's been their goal all year, you know, and I appreciate that. I love Nate Oates.
I do too.
You know, everybody's going to be coming after him.
Florida
again.
and Auburn were the only 2 games where I was like, oof, I don't know. They're physically, they may just be better than us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but look, dude, if you hit those free throws or you rebound, you beat Florida. And Auburn, you know, Auburn got out
8 at one point.
Yeah, and Auburn got out to like a 9-0 start. They just started hot both halves, and they hit shots that they had been struggling shooting.
Well,
you know?
that's, I mean, basketball, I just don't know because you don't know. I mean, if we're hot, great. But the only thing about the Auburn game that I felt like, I mean, I felt like they bullied us out, you know, to the perimeter, and they made us take bad shots. Now, of course, Auburn hit some threes in that game. It was just like, I mean, really, any other game, I don't know if they.
That's what I'm saying, man. And that's how Florida beat them.
Because they'd come down and shoot a contested 3, you know, from 3 feet outside the 3-point line when we tie it up.
Yeah.
And they hit a 3 like that. And you're like, where did that come from?
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. Like, I get that was how Florida beat them. I mean, sometimes you just make shots. The Tennessee game was the one that really pissed me off because we're better than them, you know, and we had them.
It's like the Tennessee football. It's like our Tennessee football game
man,
this year.
What are you doing? Like, come on. Now, you know what, though? None of these, if you don't win the regular season, then these games are just practice anyway. And I mean, we're going to be in
proceeding at this point. We're in. I mean, you know, I sit here and I think about the times back in middle school and high school when we didn't even make the tournament.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
I remember those.
I mean, those were
a lot of years like that.
Those were some rough times.
It was like we were always like a bubble team.
Yeah.
You know, like Texas or, you know, or like Mississippi. I guess Mississippi State. But, you know, it's like always like that. You know, you're like,
I mean, you just wanted to see us make it to the second round.
Everybody just wanted to fill a bracket out and have Alabama in
there. Yeah, that's right.
You know, I'll tell you a story. You want to hear about the worst coach I ever dealt with? Ever? I mean, the worst guy I've ever dealt with in sports.
I'm hoping you're not going to say the name. I think you're going to say.
What do you think?
I just, you say it.
Anthony Grant.
Okay.
No. I liked Avery Johnson.
No, well.
And I liked Avery. And I like Mark Godfrey too.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with either one of those guys.
Yeah. I like Mark and I like Avery a lot.
Yeah. No.
I didn't know Anthony Grant.
No, I filled in for Chris Stewart on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. And the first game I ever got to do was Maryland, Bama in Puerto Rico. And Johnny Holiday is one of my broadcast heroes. I grew up listening to him on the radio, do play-by-play because of that. And Anthony Grant was the coach. And he was the biggest asshole I've ever met in my life. Everybody around him knew. And it was just kind of like example. I worked with Wendell Hudson doing women's basketball. So I got to graduate and fill in.
I got to play golf with Wendell Hudson. He was
awesome dude, man.
Awesome.
Love him. And I think he's, for so many reasons, I think that Wendell Hudson is one of the best dudes I've ever met in my life. Outside of being a coach or a player and all that stuff. He's just a fantastic person. And I wish I was more like him. But then I got to go do these games. You need a refill?
Yeah.
Here, I'll just dump all that out and start over again. And anyway, I got to do these games. And the first game was Maryland against them. Now, Gary Williams wasn't the head coach that year, which stinks but Johnny Holiday was there, the broadcaster. And he's I think he's the only guy in the Sports Hall of Fame and the Music Hall of Fame. Like, hey, everybody, Johnny Holiday here coming at you. He has got the golden voice and everything. Maryland Terrapins basketball coming right up. He's just, and he
sounds like Bob Menery.
He's just the best. Yeah, somebody knows what I'm talking about. So I was so excited to do the games. And the guy that was the sports information director at the time was a guy named Ty. Really cool dude. Skip Powers was one of my best friends. He was in the sports information department. We'd go out and drink. So I knew all these guys.
Yeah.
The Josh Maxons and stuff. They're still there, right?
Yeah.
Jeff Purington, some really good people.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh these guys,
and Jeff,
great guys.
Both there when I was there.
Right. Solid.
Loved
people.
all those guys.
I saw
Josh was it.
Josh came by and saw it.
Yeah, he did.
He's a great dude. Intense, okay?
Oh yeah.
But I love him.
You got the shaved head. Walking around with the shades on.
He's that kind of guy that you want in your corner. Somebody send this to him. That if you need something done and you don't want to be the guy to have to do it, give it to him. Great guy, great dad, great person. Okay, so the sports information department there, solid. And so I'm like, this is a dream come true. I'm getting to do Bama basketball. Now, I'm not going to be anywhere close to as good as Chris Stewart. And everybody's going to complain because Chris on basketball is as good as it gets. But I'm filling in, and it's Maryland. I transferred from Maryland. Look at behind you. You got a Maryland helmet and an Alabama helmet. But Maryland basketball, I grew up watching this. I love it. And I love Alabama. And I want Alabama to win. So anyway. So Wendell let us all, I got as a broadcaster, I got to eat with the team, travel with the team, we stayed at the same hotel. I was part of the team.
I'm trying to think, who are the
like Brian Passing and Chris Stewart weren't allowed to eat with the team. It's everybody's real quiet, hey man, yes, let us eat with the team. I'm like, what the what? I would sit, Wendell would see me on the plane. He'd do all his stuff, right? And he'd tell me to come up there. I'd sit up there and he'd tell me about his days in the NBA and stuff, hanging out with people and say he's just a really fun dude, right? So that was my experience. I thought all the coaches were like that. No, Anthony Grant didn't want any of the broadcasters in there. So I'm like, I got to do this 8-minute hit, interview. All right, you take it on Maryland here in Puerto Rico. Coach, tell us exactly how the team feels right now. And, and then he's like, well, most coaches be like, well, we're going out there. We're going to we got this going on. And we got that going on. We feel good about, whatever, man. They talk, right? This guy, complete turd. He doesn't want to answer any of the questions. I'm the damn team broadcaster. I'm just a kid filling in, this is a long time ago.
Yeah.
So he does he won't answer any of the questions on his broadcast. It's his broadcast. Anthony, it was your broadcast, bro. All you had to do was talk. I sat outside while Brian Pasek and his wife are sitting at the pool with Johnny Holiday for like 4 hours in Puerto Rico. Beautiful resort, waiting on this guy to come out and do the interview. Then he comes out, and then he's an asshole. And I see Ty, and I see Ty's like giving me this look like, man, I'm sorry. Like, I can't help that this guy is a dick, you know? And so he answers, he does like 4 minutes. I'm scared because I'm like, man, Tom Roberts told me I need 8 minutes. I struggled for 4. And I wasted my whole day, like sitting there outside of the food room because this guy wouldn't like give me a time. Like, he wouldn't even tell me a time. So anyway, this is the capper, right? So the whole, I've got a picture of this too. I'm gonna bring this down here a second. So I get done, man. And this was like, at that point in my career, it was like one of the highlights. It was before I really got to do anything with the Cubs. And I was really excited about this. And then this guy's just like, you know, just a complete jerk. And he, I'm walking away, and Ty says, hey, I see, you know, Anthony Grant say something to him. And he's like, hey, Mick, he wants to know if you're writing a book. I was just like, what? You know what I mean? Like, because I kept asking him questions because I had to get 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to throw anybody.
So he was being a smart ass,
right? And I'm like, it was the worst. And then everybody else. And I don't want to say any names because, you know, I don't work there anymore, and I don't care.
But what was Anthony? What was Anthony? Oh, my bad.
No, go ahead, because I want to bring this picture down.
What was Anthony Grant's? He was at, what was he at VCU before?
He was. I think he was. No, he was a Florida assistant.
No, I think he was.
But then he maybe went to VCU after that.
Because I thought
there it is right there.
He was. Oh yeah, I could have sworn he was with VCU, and they made a run in the tournament. His name was pretty hot.
That might have been after here, you know. That was the post game. He was actually not so bad there. Anyway, when I told everybody, they were like, "Oh yeah, we don't want to talk about this." It was like the big secret, you know, like we don't want to talk. And I tell you why.
He was at VCU,
and then we got him from VCU.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, yeah, I do remember this now. The thing about it to me was like when the tornadoes happened, I was like volunteering with a bunch of people from the athletic department, and he was there, and he was really that situation. He was like really nice to people, and I thought, man, this guy's a pretty good dude. Nah, not at all. And
it doesn't make any sense. He must have hated being in Alabama.
He must have hated it. I don't know what his deal was. I mean, you know, like, but I've never met.
He's at Dayton now, and he's been there since 2017.
Yeah.
Got coach of the year in 2020.
I'm not saying he can't coach. I'm not saying he can't recruit. No, and I'm not even saying he might not have figured it out now.
Well, you know, when you're at a place at a bigger school, I mean, you have to be able to do the on the court stuff and the off the court stuff. You basically have to be a guy that everybody hates to see leave. Like Avery Johnson.
He left, but we all liked him.
And I loved Avery Johnson.
Yeah, me too.
He'd come to our practices. He'd talk to everybody. I mean, he came up and
good dude.
He found me after the Cotton Bowl and congratulated me. We talked for a little bit. I mean, I was like, man, I freaking love this guy.
I was a little sad when he got fired for Nate Oates.
And he has personal. I mean, he's such a, you know, again, I know
genuine guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's I hated to see him leave. And you could tell his players loved him too.
Yeah, right.
I mean, and he brought in some good players. I mean, Nate Oates did a good job with them, and he took them to the Sweet 16. His players,
I know,
you know,
I know. And I don't know he'll ever coach basketball again.
I remember when Anthony Grant came because a lot of people were excited when he came because he was with VCU, made a tournament run the year before. It was like, what did he replace? Did he replace Mark Gottfried? Who did he replace?
I think so. I think it was Godfrey.
I thought it was Gottfried. Let's see. Yeah, he replaced. Man, Anthony Grant was there for 6 years. Did you realize that?
Yeah. And I was glad when he got fired, to be honest with you. He was one guy. When they fired him, I was like,
I didn't know he was there for 6 years.
They fired him. I was like, see ya.
I mean, how did we do in those 6 years?
I mean, he was okay. It was like you said, though. It was like you either didn't make the tournament or you were like a bubble team. You know, like we didn't have a run or anything.
Yeah, we made it to the tournament 1 year, I think.
So that he was terrible.
Yeah.
But I remember like when people started figuring out what a jerk he was, like other people would come up to me and be like, yeah, dude, I'll say this about Alabama. If you just like, if you're cool, people will like give you a break. They might like, you know, maybe not football, but the rest of the sports. We talk basketball on here and the number, when it's live, like the number of views goes, even when we're number one, you know, people love football. If you're the football coach, look, DeBoer, you're a great guy. You don't win, you're out. You know, you have another 9-4.
He knows that, though.
He does, and he's great. And I love him, man. Don't get me, you know that.
Yeah.
He did that show with Brett a couple weeks before Brett died, and I'll never forget that, man. Like it's one of the highlights of my life.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean,
meant more to me than just like getting paid to do a job or putting a video out, you know.
Yeah.
And he was genuinely a great dude.
Oh, he is a great guy.
Right.
No doubt about it.
Right at the top of the list. But what I'm saying is like football's different, you know. If you don't win, they'll throw a brick through your window. Literally.
Yeah.
You lose to Auburn. Oh, look out.
Duck.
Yeah. Somebody Clint Lamb reminded me today that we've beaten them 5 straight times. Oh, I love it.
I hated that fear the thumb stuff so much.
I know. That's golly. Oh man. Who's the worst? Have you ever run into anybody? Like,
have you ever seen, I mean, when's the last time Auburn had this bad of a run?
Auburn made the mistake that we can't make, and that's you can't fire your coaches. You gotta stick through it.
I don't know. Matt Harsin was that was a pretty rough go.
Yeah, but the problem is you got to pay him. If you fire him, you got to pay him. And,
yeah, and what else do you do for a guy that's not even recruiting? I mean,
I know he didn't recruit.
I mean,
yep.
You pay him and then you put yourself in that much more of a hole. Of course, nowadays though, you got you can get guys in free agency.
Yeah, you could win a lot faster now. I mean, look at all the low end SEC teams; they're good because they can go in the transfer portal. I mean, Vandy's the best example of that.
Yeah,
you know, they'll just clear out all these like lower level team, you know, programs that have good players, you know, that can play. They're just older.
Yeah,
you know. But if you're cool, man, like they'll let you stick around longer, or if you play the game right, you know, especially if you're in women's sports. You know, like,
I mean, you look at Bruce Pearl. Bruce Pearl is like, I mean, that guy's the Cadillac of Southern coaches. Yeah. Even though he's not from the South, he gets it. You know, personality wise, he's got a strong moral compass. He wins. I mean, he's the full package when it comes to a coach in the South.
Right.
I mean, I say it the South like that's not, you know, something that everybody wants all over the country, but
you just think that he's got, do you say he brings that Jules Monnier kind of,
you love that.
Hey, if I have one more kid, it's going to be Jules. I'm being
That's
serious.
A slick name.
You think I'm kidding?
It's a slick name.
If there's one of those, oops, Jules. I met a dude.
Oh, man.
I gotta tell this story. I gotta tell this story. What's wrong? Is
That's
that
a rough pour right there, man.
it's got a lot of
A
foam.
lot of foam.
But it's your fault. You haven't drank your keg. You got to come in
taking
here.
it easy.
You got to come in here and bust your keg once in a while. I can't give you too much information, but I got this friend now. And
you got this friend now.
A friend. I don't want, because I don't want.
What does that mean?
I've expanded my friend network. The guy is originally from Jamaica. Really cool dude, very smart. He's in his 50s, early 50s, and he's got a 17-month-old.
Where'd you meet this guy?
Knoxville. And
last weekend?
Don't ask me too many questions. But I'm like, okay.
I mean, you make close friends fast.
Yeah. Well,
got a joint you hanging out in.
You mesh with people, man. Do you believe in vibes? Oh, come on. Of course you do. You know how you just vibe with people. This dude was like he was like a college athlete back in the day. He's a good dude. Anyway, but I was like, man, this guy's like 53 and he's got a 17-month-old beautiful kid. And I don't know, that could be Jules. Give me about 7 more years. Jules. Damn, that's a cool name.
It is a great name.
What kind of guy was Jules Monnier?
He's a man's man, no doubt about it.
Was he?
Oh yeah. I mean, you just,
Says your mom's
everybody
dad?
Knew him.
Your mom's dad?
Yeah, everybody knew him.
Yeah. Well, what's that name?
Well, he just liked hanging out, doing his thing. Loved hanging out at Bonefish over here.
Oh man, God, I wish I lived here.
In Mobile.
I'd have come over and hung out with him.
I mean, he was all in all the card games,
Was he?
Oh yeah, he was wheeling and dealing. I mean, he loved it.
Did it up, man.
Oh yeah, it's so fun. I was walking into my house and a UPS driver was dropping off a package. He goes, "How's your grandfather doing, Jules?" And I was like, "Well, he passed away a few years." He goes, "Man, he loved you." He goes, "I used to see him." He's like, "I used to see him. I can't remember, at the card game or playing golf or something,
Yeah.
Bonefish.
Maybe that's us. Maybe that's the future of our friendship. We're like running all the card games down here.
Oh, it's funny. It's funny. It's funny listening to the stories that, people tell me. It's, he was a trip. He was a trip.
But my point is, the other thing is, and my point is this, man, is that down here, if you treat people the right way, man, you're never forgotten.
No, that's right.
I mean, it's just, and that's why I don't like Anthony Grant. He didn't treat people the
That's
right
why
way.
you moved down here.
I love it here. I love it. And you know what? I've got a backyard coming soon.
Yeah.
I'm so happy about it.
You ain't DIYing that, are you?
No. And people were talking to me, and you guys probably know the story. I had these giant trees that were damaged from Hurricane Sally, and one of them was like built into the deck here, and it just always bothered me. And I got it taken out, and the damn thing was hollow, So every storm would come, and I'd just be like, God, I had that uncomfortable, like those voices in your head that just tell you shit, And I'd listen to them, and it's a giant hole in my deck now. I mean, like, it's crazy, but I got them all taken out. Now I miss my trees.
What are you gonna do with that hole? You gonna put a fire pit back there?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, maybe something cool.
That's what I'd do.
Yeah, but the thing is that they take these trees out and they just leave you with like a pile of like mulch, and it looks terrible. And the backyard used to be my sanctuary. So I finally made the decision to just go ahead and bite the bullet. Don't even say it. I don't know where you're going, but don't mess me up over here, because I was telling one of my friends, I was like,
hey, I mean, they could have shot Oppenheimer in the back of in this backyard.
I said, I want y'all to come over, but not until I get my backyard done. It's so embarrassing out there. It looks like Baghdad or something. Like, it's terrible. when Shank came over, though, he didn't think it looked that bad.
Shank,
I love Shank,
Shank's
man.
polite. He is
Shank's
polite.
such a good-hearted guy. I'm trying to get him on Cover Crimson full time, man. Gotta love that guy.
He's a talent. There ain't no doubt about it.
He's a great dude. And his stories are funny. That was one of my favorite shows we did lately.
No. And we missed the first 30 minutes of it, too.
I know, man. How did that happen, dude? It's weird how like technology will just stick you sometimes.
It's the best, but it's the worst.
Yeah. Because your producer is also your host. Just FYI for everybody. So things can backfire. You want to try to lead these guys in the right direction and make sure that all the cameras and microphones are working. That's me. By the way, mybookie.ag. I mean, who is watching us still? Oh man, I'm excited about Ryan Grubb coming. You know, I know you were watching his press conference when we kind of got going, and I just think he's going to make a difference, man. I really do. I think that like having a team, like DeBoer's a great guy, but he's kind of the yin to the yang. You know, like not to say he's not a great guy, but you know, he's that guy that kind of holds people a little more accountable. DeBoer trusts him. You know, and those guys just mesh right. And and that happens in life sometimes. You get around people and you're better together than you are apart.
No, I agree. I mean, you watch his interviews, you can tell he's the bulldog, you know.
Yeah.
Straight to the point. Like not a whole lot of goofing around in those interviews. He's on point and ready to go. And tell you what, man, says a lot about he talks about Nick Sheridan and says a lot about Nick too. Just trying to put the pieces to the puzzle together and help as much as he can, be supportive. That's a guy, if I'm Kalen DeBoer, I'm looking at and like, okay, this is one of my guys.
Yeah.
You know, this is a made man now. And then you listen to him talk about the quarterbacks. It sounds about like we've kind of discussed. I mean, Keelan Russell's probably the most talented guy out there. I mean, you know, you watch him throw a little bit. He's probably the most talented guy out there. Ty's probably the most capable right now. He's definitely the most capable right now. I mean, he's been there. He understands, you know, he understands the system. He knows how to make it go. Mac, I think, is going to be a really good player. I think he's got a lot of talent, but still just trying to figure out the football side of it. Not quite there yet, but you got three. I think you're going to have three good options there. I think it's probably going to be Ty and then Mac and Keelan fighting it out for two going into camp. And Keelan may edge him out, but next year is going to be the year Keelan's got to, you know, really step up.
I talked about Jameis Winston on the show with Clint Lamb on here.
Yeah.
You were there. Super talented, you know, and you saw it, super talented. And now he's like a Fox contributor, you know, on Fox Sports, which I've sent you the videos. He's actually, I love him.
I know
you know what I mean? Like he's the kind of guy I could hang with. He's pretty funny. But as a and he was a great, you know, I heard from Cub scouts, you know, when working with the Cubs, like they were really interested in him as a baseball player, which is, I mean, and I mean, seriously, like first, second round pick type guy.
Yeah.
But, you know, what were the things that you remember from him, you know, coming up and can you kind of relate any of that to Keelan Russell?
I remember him seeing things really well as a true freshman, making a few throws where, again, he came in early, didn't have time to really know anything yet, but you'd put him in certain situations and he'd run plays like he was a seasoned veteran, you know, in his first camp. I mean, again, if he saw it, knew it, understood it, you know, pretty quickly. I mean, he made reads that he just saw things really well. And that's I think that's what I'm thinking Ryan Grubb's talking about when he's talking about Keelan Russell. Like some of these things, he ran a little bit in high school and kind of understands pretty well as long as he gets the right looks. That's kind of what you saw out of Jameis early on. I mean, he was able to put it together very quickly and anticipate very well, even as a young guy. Obviously, made mistakes when you don't really understand what's going on. But early on, when he got plays he really liked, he really ran them well. And so, and saw the field with a different understanding than most young guys do. So just a vision, didn't panic, really comfortable back there from early on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if he's going to start, probably a very similar path for him.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of getting that figured out. But
and Jameis, he redshirted his first year.
Yeah, he did.
So I mean, coming in first year to start as a true freshman, to me, for anybody, I think it almost means you're pretty weak depth wise, or I mean, you don't have a whole lot at the quarterback position. I just think it's a lot to take on as a true freshman, to come in there and start with a locker room you're not totally familiar with, and then a playbook that you're just learning. I mean, to me, it speaks more to what you've got, within the system already, more so than it does how good a quarterback is coming in his first year. Because there's going to be a lot of rust, a lot of growing pains if a true freshman walks in the door and starts year one.
Yeah. Hey, look, if Winston was a red shirt, then I'm guessing Russell probably along those same lines. But well, look, man, it's a great show.
Oh yeah. Well, we had EJ Manuel, when.
Oh yeah.
So I mean,
and you love
first
EJ.
rounder. Oh man, love EJ. But yeah, I mean, it helps to have a veteran guy in there that first year, and you kind of get to learn and watch and then grow into yourself moving into that second year. And I think that's what Keelan's going to do.
Yeah. Well, Grubb wasn't throwing a lot of accolades to AK Deer or Michael Carroll, but boy, you could tell his eyes were lighting up over Russell,
Yeah.
But like those guys are going to be great too. It's just different positioning. But this is the highest recruited player in the history of Alabama football, which is pretty cool, So, we'll see what happens, but I love Grubb being there. It gives us a lot of excitement around the program. And, we'll be keeping an eye on that as we move forward, but, man, have a great weekend. And, what'd you give up for Lent? Oh boy.
Hadn't decided yet.
Oh man. It's already Lent. So I gave up fried foods. I'll tell you what, I wanted to give up.
Yeah, I was about
but
to say.
I'm going to Vegas for the Dead show that I tried to get you to go to. And I just
you knew that wasn't going to happen.
I hoped it would.
What, the beer?
No, you coming to Vegas.
Oh no.
The beer. Oh yeah. Look, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take a month off once I get back, probably April. I'm going to take a month off.
Okay.
So you're going to have to drink the keg. You come in here, a month off. I
doubt that happens, but
no faith in me.
Nope.
Okay, man. I'll drink to that.
You giving up fried foods and beer? Nah.
No. Listen, I'll be at the Floor Bama on Sunday. The Buzzy Bee contest. They want me to be a contestant. Oh, no, sorry, the Boozy Bee. Boozy Bee.
What are you drinking as many beers as possible?
And then spelling. I told them I can't spell anyway, so I could be sober and not spell things right. Let me tell you something. This invention right here changed my life.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
Yeah, because now you just ask it and it tells you how to do it.
Yeah.
Siri, how do you spell?
So when people meet you in person, they're like, "Oh shit."
Who's this guy? Hopefully David Sprinkle will be there. He's one of our fans. I saw him. I was down there last time. I was sitting on the stage. Oh, Siri's talking to me right now. Siri, how do you spell Mississippi? I-S-S-I-P-P-I. If I win that contest. I'm on the stage and I'm watching, like I'm just like peering down. And I see David over there. I saw Red Leonard sitting right next to him, the old equipment guy at Alabama Facilities. Great dudes. They don't even know each other. And I'm like watching, and I'm like, I wonder if they know each other. Like Big Earl was playing. So I was like kind of like back and behind that thing.
That must have been a little while back. Yeah, he's retired.
I know. But this was December. So, or November. Whenever the Army-Navy game was, it was that day.
Had to be December
12th.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, like and subscribe. Thumbs up. I do apologize if some of Jake's language was offensive, but I just do the show with him. Get in the comments section. Tell us about it. Who would you want us to interview? I saw where your former teammate Blake Sims is now a coach at South Alabama. They need to hire Shank.
Oh,
they need to hire Shank. You need to call Cochran and say, hire Shank.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, Shank would do. He said he would do it. But anyway, I would love to talk to him. I would love to talk to Saban. Love to talk to Saban. DeBoer, Grubb, Womack. Who else do we want to talk to?
We talked to Nick Sheridan.
Nick Sheridan. That'd be fun.
Had to figure out the rest.
Who else would be on our? I mean, any of like the former players would be fun to talk to.
Yeah, we need to do that Senior Bowl tournament. I think there's a lot of Alabama guys coming.
Oh yeah, right over here at the Grand Hotel. Yeah, let's do it.
John Gruden's coming.
I saw that from Barstool Sports. He'd love our show.
Yeah, he would.
My buddy Steve Azar's in town right now, but he's over at the Grand for a wedding. I saw him at the funeral the other day, and I was like, "Hey, come by!" And I'm like, "Man, I'm sure the last thing you're thinking is like doing a long podcast with us two." But we just got to start. You guys tell us who you're interested in having us bring into the studio for the Elephant in the Room show, and look, Auburn fans. For the right price, he'll leave for Tiger in the Room. I don't know that anyone would really like you, but
I don't know what I'd talk about. I don't think Auburn fans would like me either. I think I'd be the bad cop on the podcast.
It would be. Who would your partner be? Because it wouldn't be me. Unless they really paid me.
Oh, so you can be bought too.
I'm like the $1 million man, the wrestler. Everybody has their price.
I guess it'd have to be Reese Dismukes.
Yeah,
from here.
Yeah, there you go. All right, like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thanks for hanging with us again, guys. On Twitter at Broadcaster Mick. He doesn't even check his, and we'll talk to you later. Roll Tide.